Hello. So, I started recording the other night, and maybe 2 nights ago. I think I got about 15 minutes in, and there were so many distractions. I have 2 dogs with me for the week, and it was like every time I pushed record, they would just bark. Or, something else would happen in these 15 minutes, like the barking. There were a few other interruptions that I don't remember at the moment. And by the time I had to take a break to do something for the dogs, I think maybe one of them, something happened. Anyway, so I was deciding if I should keep going or just kind of like start anew. And I sat with it for like a day or 2, and I decided to just let that one go and start anew. So there could be something for someone here, like something similar, perhaps not recording, maybe, but maybe there's something that you started. I'm hearing like back to the drawing board, and maybe it just doesn't feel right, and I'm seeing someone like crumble up paper like they do like in the movies and like shooting it in a little wastebasket and then missing. So yeah, I also kept hearing the phrase in my mind the last maybe day and a half. It's funny, as soon as I was about to say the phrase, my computer screen went black, and now I'm hearing a train on the tracks. I'm near a train station right now, so not a train station, train tracks. So let me just see. Okay, so you may feel perhaps like I'm seeing someone like walk through a dark room, like feeling their way through. And all of a sudden, there's like a little bit of light coming from themselves, like almost like a bioluminescent undersea creature. How they like are self-lit, but it's still not enough to like allow you to what am I trying to say? It's not enough to like light the entire way, but just enough to get you, step by step. And with that train, I can like feel the vibration of the train going by on the rail tracks. So it's like perhaps you're feeling something and you are like feeling something speeding up in a way, but the path is lighting up just enough to like take you step by step in a way. Perhaps you have like a big picture vision, but like it's just getting there one step at a time. So if that, any of what I said so far is feeling like perhaps something you've been experiencing, either recently or now, then yeah, there might be something here for you. If not, I have quite a few things written down, so we'll see where that comes from. But the phrase that I was hearing, was the Emerald Order of Melchizedek. If you're not familiar with Melchizedek, it's spelled Melchizedek. Okay, it's funny. The other day, I think it's the last thing that I posted, I was talking about a father or masculine ancestral lineage clearing, and now I was talking about the right collarbone, which for me that is the connection. And as I was about to start speaking, I just felt the left one light up, the mother lineage. So it looks like we're doing, I just heard it in my head, One Step at a Time from Jordan Sparks. And before I read a passage from Ashayana Dean wrote something like, it's titled Introduction, and it's a little blurb on Melchizedek. I was just guided to read that. I believe it's from her, let me see. She has different teachings and writings out. A lot of people have a hard time finding her work, and I think it's needed now. So it's starting to resurface, and people are digging and starting to share it. So if you're not familiar with her, yeah, I've been really attracted to her work lately. So I will probably be sourcing her, of course, whenever I feel like called to. Anyway, before I read this passage, I feel like might be helpful. There was something about the bioluminescence and the self-generated light source that I was speaking of. I think I mentioned that in a different video recently. I can't remember which one. There's a painting. I don't know if it's a painting. It's a photograph. Like a canvas type thing my friend has where I'm staying, and it just caught my eye. It's black and white of the Eiffel Tower. That's funny. The Eiffel Tower came up like 2 or 3 times today. So that could be like a sign for someone, or maybe even thinking about France or something about the Eiffel Tower. But on the tower part, there are these like little rhinestones. I guess someone pasted on or glued on. And I'm in a pretty dimly lit room with candles right now. I don't know why, but I'm getting the vibe of like, I feel like this came through another audio I did before. Like Nostradamus is coming through for some reason, and I'm seeing like a feather, quill, and ink. So someone here could just feel like they're very connected to that time. Maybe you like dim lighting and candles, and feel like it's very connected to the idea of writing with a feather and ink. You could be finding feathers. There's been a lot of angelic feather communication that I've noticed, and coins. I feel like feathers came through my last video, so perhaps you felt connected through that. But now I've been finding like pennies, or just mention of coins have been coming up a lot lately. This is like a very, very specific message, so it probably won't be for everyone, but I'm seeing a coin collection, like some sort of coin collection where perhaps you didn't realize like it was worth something, or maybe someone's about to give you a coin collection and it might be worth something. There's just like something about that. And I just heard like, should I sell it? It's up to you, of course. But I will say what I'm feeling is that the energy feels good to sell it if that's something that feels good to you. Like, it doesn't feel like something that if you let go and receive some other form of payment, whatever that will be for you, it doesn't feel like there will be like regret or anything like that. So yeah. Anyway, so these rhinestone things on this picture just have like a slight shimmer and iridescence to it, so that type of color could be significant in some way. I'm seeing like the scales on a fish, you know, like when they swim, and in a certain like refraction of the sunlight there's that like iridescent shimmer. I'm not sure why that's coming up, but we shall see. Okay, so I'm going to read this little passage of the Melchizedek, Order of Melchizedek, the Emerald Order. And I was looking on YouTube and this video popped up, and I just didn't even think about it. I don't know, I was just drawn to click on it. I believe she calls herself Oracle of Starlight. So perhaps you have listened to some of her stuff. Anyway, again, my computer went black right when I said that, so see if there's anything else that comes through about that. And she mentioned the Order of Melchizedek. And it was like right after I kept hearing that. And I'm still working on trusting. I mean, I trust myself, but like sometimes I'll let things come through quite a few times just to like really solidify the energy coming through. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, like I felt it in my body too. So, and that's not, I don't hear like a ton of readers and people speaking of Melchizedek. I mean, there's definitely people doing that, but it's not as common that I've seen. So I'm getting into this energy of like needing to explain myself. So perhaps it's something that you're working through. Maybe you find yourself doing that, or it could also be the opposite. Maybe you don't do it enough and you're trying to be a little bit more. So it depends on which side. It's like there's a balancing out of that, whether like I'm seeing a pendulum swing. So whichever side of that fence you are on, there's like a recalibration or a balancing of that. If you're someone who's been working on that a long time, perhaps you are, I'm hearing finally feeling like you've actually made some progress in that area. So each one of you will, maybe be somewhere a little bit different, but okay. Melchizedek Initiations and Ordinations program sponsored by the Azurite Press of the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, MCEO, represent bioenergetic system morphogenetic field DNA activations accomplished through application of Keylontic science, which serve to accelerate and advance the biological embodiment of and expansion into higher dimensions of consciousness. Initiation and ordination levels correspond directly to specific bioelectric, electromagnetic, and scalar wave manifestations within the body, chakra system, morphogenetic field, and consciousness that occur through the process of building the hyperdimensional Merkaba light sound vehicle. Whew. So they say that the Cloister, if you're not familiar, there's like in these type of practices of like Keylontic science or higher ascension mechanics, there's like the root races and the Cloister races. And they say that the Cloister races are after, like if you're looking at DNA strands, like 1 through 6, I believe up from there, up to 12, are considered the Cloister, if you will, like I just got chills on my legs, specifically my left, the side of my left shin toward the calf. It's a very specific spot, and as I just like pointed there, the dog that is next to me tapped that same spot, accidentally. I'm being guided to like go down further on the page and sort of just see what comes up. And I just felt my left, like behind the breastbone, like a pang there. Yeah. I'm hearing like levels of awakening and another form of a heart. I'm hearing like blossoming, like a heart blossoming or blooming. And just, I wanted to add, if I'm ever reading from something, which I don't do so often, but if I feel guided to read something and there's a word that I use, it's funny, this has been coming up all week, that like doesn't feel right to you, I just invite you, to substitute a word that feels better for you. Like, honestly, the word God has so much attached to it, so when I say that, I generally will use a word that feels better to me. But if I'm reading from something, and this came up the other day, someone asked me if there was a message for her in something that popped up for her that she was attracted to, but it wasn't her like go-to. It was more of like a text in might have been like a biblical text. I honestly don't even remember at the moment. And the word that came to mind was allegory when she asked me. And like sometimes there's these hidden deeper meanings, of course. I mean, that's not like rocket science, but and I was speaking of the book The Butter Thief. I can't remember if I mentioned that in the audio I'm not going to post or in my last video. But I felt that way when I was looking at The Butter Thief, a tiny book. I believe it's a Hindu, a book from like a Hindu perspective, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of the wording and the way it was phrased and the way the perspective of whatever word you want to use, source, creation, I didn't quite align with that perspective, but there was still something in that book that was calling to me. So yeah, that could be coming up for someone, like utilizing your own discernment and getting what you need from something. And again, like when I looked up the meaning of allegory, sometimes I just like to look up meanings, even if I already know the meaning, just to really like get something deeper from it, to simplify. Because, you know, like I was talking about this recently too, sometimes there's like a lot of whether it's distortion or just added layers of other people's perceptions. So sometimes it helps me to like simplify and look up the meaning. And when it said hidden meaning, that's what really caught me. So yeah, I just wanted to like invite that perspective in for someone who's maybe into reading different types of texts, sacred texts, books, whatever it is that you're diving into, listening to other people speak. Yeah, just like a little system for yourself to be able to continue coming back to your own like connection to something in your own truth, while also, you know, listening to others or externally researching, etc. Only if that feels right to you, of course. Okay, so when I scroll down and let let my fingers go from the, I don't even know what this is called. I guess it's a mouse, but it's not like an external. It's just like on the computer. A mouse pad. Path of Evolution was the title of the section. Interesting. I'm not going to read yet, but that phrase felt significant. Path of Evolution. Okay, so I'm going to look at what I've written down and see what's coming through. Okay, this actually just came through right before I started recording. I had noticed two different numbers that for some reason make me think of high school. They were like, my class number was 164, and I think my sister's class number was 166, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, when I was in high school, for some reason I thought there was like another high school that you had to apply to, that a lot of my friends went to, that I did not go. And for some reason I thought my graduation like class year was theirs, 266, but it was 264, but it was whatever. I mixed them up, and everyone like made fun of me because they were like, how do you not even know like what your graduation class is in your own high school, whatever. I don't know why that's coming through, but I kept thinking about high school. So, and then I wrote it right under slow climb, and I didn't realize that. I was watching a video of my nephew. He's under 3. I think he's 2.5. And he was like climbing up this playground thing, but you could tell he was like so methodical about it. And he was so proud of himself. I think he was like scared to do it. And then he did it. And when he got to the top, he was like, I did it. It was just so cute. But the reason why I'm sharing that is because there's something about that. Like it was funny to see such a young child be able to like, he didn't rush himself. He really took his time, and he was really proud of himself. And there was something about like this, it felt like being proud of yourself is perhaps something that a lot of us, at least the community or the collective I'm tapping into right now, may have like a harder time with celebrating your successes, especially seemingly, smaller things that, over time will eventually lead up to something bigger. So there's something there about, again, I'm seeing high school. So perhaps there's like these cycles since high school that you have been seemingly slowly breaking. But of course, our perception of slow is just our perception. And these like longer cycles that now that like ancestral mother lineage is coming through. So perhaps in high school, especially for those of you who have, I just got my crown started tickling. Perhaps some of you are like, I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so I listened to a few readings today for myself, I just felt called to. And it's funny because it had felt like I had experienced some of these things already, but it was a nice like review session for me. Like it helped me like zoom out a bit and see like how much has been coming through and what has been, I do this quite often, but it's hard to explain it. It was like, yeah, like high school, like it was like a graduation. Like when you look back on your high school is generally 4 years for most people. So yeah, maybe like there's like a review of the last 4 years. I feel like that came through in another audio too. I was talking about like reviewing something. So perhaps there's like this 4-year cycle. Yes, I was talking about a 4-year cycle. These 4-year cycles that perhaps there could have been like, an event or some sort of like impression that you experienced in high school that like cycled through, and perhaps about within the last 4 years you've been releasing that and acknowledging it. And I heard someone today say how many like versions and layers of awakenings there are. And sometimes when you get into spirituality or spiritual concepts, it's like, oh, I had my spiritual awakening and now, but like there's so many types of awakenings, and they come through in different layers and different times. I don't know why that just wanted to come up. And it's funny that the path of evolution, exactly, like it's very nonlinear, and it can be so nuanced yet also so simple. There's like that dichotomy there. So some numbers that have really been coming through lately, just 444, lots of sevens, like more than 3 or 4, 133 or 331, those combinations, and then 911 or 119. So also mirroring numbers. I was going to individually like go through perhaps what they're trying to tell you, but I'm not being guided to do that. So we'll just kind of let it reveal itself through. Okay. I spoke of the green glow, I think in the last video that I recorded, and interestingly, one of the videos that I watched today, someone brought up this like glowing green energy. She didn't say the green glow, but she showed a picture of the color that she meant, and she said vibrant green, and it was like the same hue or like energetic feeling that I was speaking of. And her perspective, she was talking about someone that she listens to all the time. I actually don't remember his name, and I've never listened to him myself. But he talks a lot about the geomagnetic activity and the solar storms, solar flares, and the Schumann resonance, and he like tracks the Schumann resonance in conjunction with the activity. And one of the spikes that happened recently was that on the chart that she showed from her app was that green color. So I found that really interesting because I was just talking about that. So yeah, from what she was bringing through, she was talking about like an earth magic activation. So she didn't say this, but I'm seeing like the Earth Star chakra And if you don't like feel connected to the chakras or the names, that's totally okay. That's just like the language that the vernacular I learned to explain some of these aspects of our geomagnetic field or our bioelectromagnetic field. You know, if you're more into the science aspect, feel free to like utilize whatever vernacular you feel called to. Yeah. So for me, the understanding of the Earth Star chakra is below the root, in the classic 7 chakra energy centers. This would be underneath of the feet. So if you think of a tree, it's like the root system underground that we don't generally see, unless there's like those very few types of trees that you can see their roots exposed all the way up. But that's an interesting thing. So yeah, there's something about, it's funny, I just said this word to someone today. There's something about transparency coming through. So perhaps there's like, I'm being shown a dream that I had, and I think I spoke of it, I'm not sure, in a different video, but I was on a Ferris wheel, and there was so much going on in the dream, like below. Like I was by myself on this Ferris wheel, and I was just enjoying the view. It was very peaceful. And I got down off of the Ferris wheel, and there were a line of people, like kind of whispering as I walked by, like, saying different things. And, I was so peaceful. It was just zen. I was by myself. It was nighttime. And I was like, what is going on? And, like, people were just, like giggling as I walked by. And I was like, what is happening? I was, like, so in the dark. Like, speaking of the dark, I had, no idea what was going on in the stream. And some guy, like, came up to me and was like, oh, my God, congratulations. Oh, and it's funny. I just wrote an email the other day to some of my past clients. Every once in a while, I'll send out, like, an update. And I wrote down congratulations, and that's just like the energy I was feeling. And I was like, if you don't have it yet, like someone might say congratulations to you, but I'm like preemptively saying there's a congratulations in order, like something might pop up for you that merits a congratulations. And it's coming through again. And it's funny because I forgot about that dream, and now that's coming through. So yeah, if you're listening to this, congratulations. Even if it's not something like external, there's something like I was talking about my nephew and being like proud of himself for doing that climb. Like maybe you are due for a self-congratulations. And sometimes they say like if you give something to yourself energetically in the self-love department, whatever, it will generally start to show up in your external reality. So there could be something there. And as I was going back to the dream now, walking through, and I don't know why, but the guy in the stream reminded me almost of like, those like 1920s reporters who were like taking like the old school Polaroid shots, and they're like the big blinding light. It kind of like had that feeling, and they talk really fast, and they're like licking their finger and turning the page, and like, yeah, it was like that kind of vibe. And I was like, okay, congratulations for what? Like, thanks, but like I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, you don't know? Oh, that's right, you were up on that Ferris wheel, like you missed it. He's like, oh, you're famous, like you really told the truth and you were so transparent and it paid off for you, so congratulations. And it was like a romantic person that like in the dream that I felt connected to, like came up out of nowhere, like I hadn't spoken to him, and he was like, oh, I have feelings for you, let's do this. Like all these things at once just started coming in the stream. It was like my career took off. It was just like literally like crazy in the dream. And I woke up, this is probably like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, within the last 5 months, 3 to 5 months ago. So that timing can be significant. There could have been like a seed planted around that time that maybe is starting to show some growth. Maybe you had a deep release at that time. Interestingly, I was going to put on this music in the background that was an aura release and Keylontic solfeggio scale tones, and I didn't. I wound up putting on a different frequency. What did I choose? 639 hertz plus 432 hertz plus 528 hertz miracle tones. Interesting. I didn't even realize the background. It's all these like, it's a mason jar with leaves and copper. There's a candle burning inside. So lighting candles could be significant for you. For very few of you, I'm seeing someone who's like afraid of fire. That won't apply for everyone, but that could just be, a metaphor for like being afraid of your own inner fire or your own light in some way. And it doesn't have to be like a current energy, like I was talking about, things coming up from the past. So perhaps you're someone that's been working on that, or for a few of you, it might just be coming up to the surface now, of like, like having this subconscious, deep-rooted fear of your own inner guidance, your own inner light, that type of thing. And then realize there's, all these like bioluminescent butterflies, and that bioluminescent frequency keeps coming up. So maybe working with that could be helpful. For very few of you, maybe you'll be like visiting a bioluminescent natural source, like a cave or a beach. Or that could be someone's like dream here, like maybe you like really want to do that. So maybe planting a seed toward that to take a step to bring that into reality could be something. Okay. So that the reason why I was talking about that dream, and I think it wanted to come through, is because it does feel like there is that potentiality of like stepping into that state, if you're not already, of just, I just felt like my whole chest opened up. Again, that like blooming heart energy. Transparency. So I was talking about the root. So perhaps there's something that you have been transparent about. It doesn't even have to be externally. It could just be with yourself, that you've continued to like, or you're being asked to do this, to be transparent and not, I'm seeing like an animal like shrink down and like go back into its shell. So it's not that that's an issue. Like if that is something you really feel like you need to do quite often to like re-energize, it's just like doing things that feel like good for you and not needing to like, I was talking about over-explaining. And in the past, if you've done that, or if you find yourself still doing that sometimes, that's okay. It's just, we keep adding awareness to these things. And I was just drawn to the 911 number that I had written down. So perhaps there's a connection there. Okay. So, the song, oh my God, speaking of high school, wow, I did not realize how all this is connecting. I wrote down Sugar Coat Memory. I swear, a lot of like punk songs are coming back, like emo punk. When I was in high school, I was very into like, Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, Sugar Coat, Senses Fail. If you're not familiar with any of this, that's okay. But if you are, feel free to comment, because it always cracks me up. Anyway, so I feel like it's been coming up again a lot lately, at least around me. So perhaps if it's not that type of music, again, there's something from high school that's like resurfacing. Whether it's a genre of music, a group of people, maybe both, something more personal to you. The color yellow seems to be significant too. I've been seeing a lot of like yellow flowers, yellow butterflies. I saw a black and yellow butterfly a couple times. And also, I call them yellow butterflies, but I think they're moths. But, like very, very bright yellow. And back to the transparency and the Earth Star activation. There feels like there's been this call to really, I just had like a very weird internal burp just happen. Yeah, so it feels like there's like this internal release, and it feels like it's going down my body. Like a lot of the times we talk about releasing, you know, and tapping into those higher realms, which very much so is also simultaneously happening. But I felt like this is being released like down my spinal column channel, like my vertical axis down out of my feet. So there could be something like that. Now I just felt a pain in my left temple. So on the, I keep earring, maybe someone here, there's something about an earring. I meant to say hearing, and I said earring. So, interesting. I actually, one of my earrings fell out within this year, and I love that earring. It was, I think it was a black, it was like a tiny gold stud with a black, it might have been a black diamond. I don't know. It was something black, very tiny. I haven't gotten it back. But yeah, so maybe someone here lost an earring or recently, or maybe you just got a new earring. Maybe you're feeling, oh my God, I'm like, my words are so jumbled right now. 1 second. Let me just clear the energy here. Maybe you're really excited. I feel like very excited though. Like maybe you're excited about a new earring. I don't know. But there's something about earrings. Maybe someone here needs to like clean their earrings. Maybe they've been in their ears for a while. Maybe you want to like switch up your earrings. Sometimes I like I have studs in my ears. Sometimes I turn them just to like move them around. Maybe someone else does that here. There's an oracle deck I made for my friend, and one of the cards, it says something lost is about to return in a new form. So whether it's the same object or something to like replace that object that is similar, or yeah, so someone here may be like receiving like a gift or a surprise soon, or maybe you're gifting yourself something. Maybe you're like, I don't know, out window shopping and you see something and you're like, oh, I just have to have that, or something like that here. I don't know why I'm seeing like a gold rose. So it could be like a pin, or, you know, a necklace or an earring, something that you like put on your body, or maybe like a trinket. But yeah, something about a gold rose. Sugar Colt. Okay, so I kept hearing the song Memory in my head from Sugar Colt, and I was like, what? God, I haven't heard that song in forever. Why is that coming through? And I was listening to someone talk about retrieving memories of, in general. I mean, you could be retrieving memories from, it's funny because I just realized I was talking to my friend about memory today as well. So it could just be memories from, you know, your childhood, from yesterday. You know, someone here has been noticing maybe their short-term memory is a little on the fritz, or you know, long-term, depending on you. But this feels a little bit deeper than that, like retrieving memories. You know, if you're someone who taps into the Akashic records, or if you go a little bit deeper, like in some of the Keylontic practices or Keylontic science, in the, I keep hearing blue ray, so maybe someone here feels connected to the blue ray. But I was saying, the word just escaped me, so we'll see if it comes back. Atlantean silver disc. So maybe someone here is connecting with the Atlantean epoch, or the Atlantean. I'm seeing Plato, like when Plato talks about Atlantis. Maybe someone here is just reading that, or researching that, or talking about it. Yeah, blue ray is coming through very strongly. I've been seeing a lot of shark symbology, and I was actually guided to look up the shark spirit animal. Of course, there's different things. Each of us will get something different, so, you know, you can feel free to share in the comments if you get something different. But what came up for me was the shark spirit communicates with you through a deep knowing and intuition, imparting its wisdom and guidance in a way that transcends words. You feel a profound understanding of your own inner power and the importance of staying true to your instincts and intuition. Okay, interesting, because I was talking about, like the analogy with the animal going back in its shell and like trusting your own internal guidance and feelings of what's coming up for you and where you're like feeling pulled, or what you're feeling pulled to work on, or I don't want to over dilute that message. I think that it speaks for itself. So back to Sugar Cult and memory. It's also just like a fun song to listen to, at least for me. Like sometimes if my crown tingled again. So maybe someone here just like needs to do something really fun and not overcomplicated. Yeah, so finally, when I heard someone say about retrieving memories, the song Sugar Cult pops in my head again, and I was like, oh, that's why I keep hearing that song. So yeah, perhaps you're tapping into like some cosmic consciousness, other lifetimes, if that's something that you feel connected to, or parallel lives. Again, the Akashic Records are coming up, so perhaps you're tuning into more like collective memories of cataclysmic events, or oh my god, I just heard in my head Weird Science. I don't even know what that is. I think it was a show. And I heard literally simultaneously Weird Science and then Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't know why I'm being shown that. I heard excavation, so yeah, that's like internal excavation of retrieving memories. I heard Atlantis again. Now I'm hearing like Dharma and karmic justice. So perhaps you've been seeing the Justice card in tarot, or I'm hearing karmic bank account rewards. So yeah, I feel like there's something that you, even if it's just like energetically, or tuning into that higher perspective of other lifetimes, there's like this something coming in for you is what I feel. Because of your transparency, or your something that you feel like you stay true to yourself, and now there's going to be, not that, and it's not like you did it for this, but energetically something's balancing out, because by doing that you may feel like you lost something. Like I was talking about that earring, I know that's just like a physical object, but I'm also hearing that's funny, I was talking about this earlier too, a family heirloom. So perhaps there was like a family heirloom that you were like supposed to inherit, and then someone else took it, something like that, and you handled it with grace, and now there's like something coming back. I know actually that's something that I experienced personally, which I didn't plan to talk about that, but so yeah, it could be something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly, but I am seeing that. Okay, I was talking earlier about like a fear of fire, or like your inner light, inner fire type of thing. This is very specific, but whatever this thing is that is karmically balancing, or receiving justice for, I'm seeing Ma'at. Woo! Yeah, big release. That felt so good. Ma'at, M-A''AT. Ooh, and I just felt my like heart light up, and I'm seeing like, in Egyptology or in Egyptian culture, weird, I have this like water jug next to me, and it has not been touched in quite a while, and all of a sudden the water just like started to move. Yeah, so there's definitely some movement. I'm seeing Eight of Wands in tarot, but the correlation I'm seeing is this facing your your own darkness, your acknowledging your inner fire. And it doesn't have to be in such a, like, an out loud, like, I'm amazing. It's not even like that. It's just this, like, I mean, for some of you maybe, but I think it's just more this, like, this gentle knowing, this, like, gentle inner power that's been, like, slowly, I'm seeing someone, like, slowly stoking a fire. And again, I was talking about that slow climb. So I really feel like this message is for people who have been, and even if it happened quickly, you know, each of us will have a different span of time. There's, like, the way that you're handling it. Again, it's like the process, right? Like, my nose just started going crazy and itching. So perhaps there's someone that you haven't spoken to recently that might be coming back around. And I was speaking of this before too, like an opportunity in almost like a redo. I don't love the word redo, but that's what I heard, with some form of communication with a person. It will be different for all of you, but I am seeing the 7th house of relationships, and the water, you know, can represent the emotional body. But I was talking about ma'at and the feather, and, you know, you may be familiar with this, but when they would weigh the feather on scales, you know, if the heart was as light as a feather, they say you, like, passed on to the next level of initiation after death. And if not, you know, I suppose that heaviness of the heart could represent, like, karmic ties. So yeah, that's coming through. And I was talking about feathers in the beginning, so, and I've been finding so many feathers, especially, like, white feathers and black feathers, like white and then black. Again, that, like, purification and transformation, like that death energy. So I just heard King Tut. I actually don't know much at all about King Tut, but maybe someone here feels connection to King Tut. I don't know if I've said that name in, like, forever. I'm hearing high school history, so again, something about that. Okay, so back to the memories of Sugar Cult. So retrieving these memories, I think, yeah, so, like, quantum hypnosis is coming up, aromatherapy, perhaps utilizing them together, like stimulating your senses in some way and working through some form of hypnosis, or QHHT, BQH, Beyond Quantum Healing. Yeah, these different, like, hypnosis techniques are coming up. I haven't done a session in a while, but I went through a period where I was doing sessions for, well, I started with myself and then with clients. I don't know, I just kind of felt like, at least the collectives I was tapping into, that wasn't as, like, the last year or so, it hadn't felt as prevalent, but it feels like there's a resurgence. And there are other, you know, practitioners I know that have been doing that this past year. I'm not saying that, like, no one has been doing it, but I felt a call to take a little bit of a break from that. But I'm sort of feeling like it's ramping up again. So yeah, if that's something anyone's interested in, I do sessions. I also have been recording what I call guided astral journeys, which to me is sort of like opening up those energetics to retrieve memories. So yeah, if you're feeling called to do it yourself, there's so many you know, free resources on YouTube, a few for me and from many other people. So it's just all about what you're drawn to. And if you have already been doing that, perhaps for a slight few of you, if you're feeling the call to do it yourself, or you have, like, an interest in doing it for others, I'm seeing, like, a green light and a thumbs up. So yeah, that's exciting. Maybe that's where the congrats is coming in. Maybe some of you are going to start looking into that more. I know that's very specific, so that won't be for everyone. Okay, what else is here? Elohim. I kept hearing Elohim. I did record on my Patreon. I think it was my first recording. It was either the first one or the second one, but it wanted to be titled Elohim Stream, and that's something that I I'm giggling because I don't know how to explain this in the moment for some reason. I love to talk about like the deepening your intuitive channel, like your own, you know, again, I'm being shown like the vertical axis of the body, like through the spine, and just someone like elongated in some way. So like whether it's your physical body or first your energetic body that feels like expansive and just like proud and energetic. I didn't mean to say energetic, I meant to say elongated. I heard energetic synthesis. Yeah, you may be someone who like appears taller than you really are, because like perhaps your aura is very like expanded. And that's coming through. I heard magenta and I heard pink, so you may be drawn to those colors right now, or maybe you will be soon. Okay, let's see. So the Elohim stream, when I was really like tuning in to my own, you know, deepening up my own intuitive channel, one day that phrase came through for me as like a phrase to utilize when I'm like, you know, doing my own channeling or meditations. I would like tune into my Elohim stream. So that's been coming through more often, and I always associate for some reason like the Elohim with like a more feminine connection and the seraphim with a more masculine. I don't know why, but that's just something that comes up for me. Of course, the embodiment of both is present, you know, ever present, but that's just like something. And because I was feeling that mother connection in the beginning, that just sort of wanted to come through. But yeah, now I'm seeing the vertebra, and my back, in the middle of my back, almost just felt like it was like frozen for a second, like I couldn't move it. So maybe someone here is going through I was going to say sleep paralysis, but I heard analysis paralysis, so maybe a little bit of both. Or that's something, again, that may have happened a lot in high school or that time period, or these like 4-year cycles. So it could be like popping up. For very few of you, you may be recovering memories from sleep paralysis experiences. So like perhaps you're utilizing hypnosis or some other form of tapping into the subconscious and these more collective memories, and bringing through some memories that you perhaps didn't know how to explain at the time when they were happening, these like sleep paralysis moments. For very few of you, you might have it soon or had it recently as almost like a reminder that it's like time to bring through those memories. And again, that only if you feel called to that. I'm not like telling anyone to force something like that ever. And my eyes were just drawn to a part of the page that I was reading from earlier, and it says, which is the path of ascension. So I don't know why, but that just felt like it needed to be read. Interesting. And then under that it says, there are ways to get back to knowing this part of your identity. And I was talking before about, like, in a different video that I posted this week, about soul fragments, or fractals, bringing back these fractals. Right, and like recovering these memories. So yeah, and you know, even if they're not like super clear memories, there's still this like these energetic fragments or fractals that are coming back in, and over time like layers will be revealed to you of different knowings. That will come in the time that, you know, you're ready. I call it like hatching light codes or hatching codes. It's like these codes hatch in the time that will best serve you, especially when you tune in and set those intentions. I'm going to continue reading for a second. And what is really wonderful is, even though all through our history here, through our religions and our mystical schools of the ancient times that have little pieces of this process, they make big deals out of those little pieces because they knew They were important, but they didn't have the whole piece of the puzzle. No, sorry, but they didn't have the whole puzzle. I don't know why I said that. So the pieces didn't work really well. The whole puzzle is being given here. The basic framework as far as what one has to go through to, first of all, understand what it means to be a human here, and second of all, to get back to where we were, or at least give people the flexibility to choose between the stations of consciousness. Right now we are kind of phase locked or stuck down here. The stuck down here part, I don't know when this was written, but I think even that is starting to like unstick itself the more that we again tune into those memories and realize and claim our sovereignty and understand like why we're here. And for each of us that may feel different, but I love when it talks about the little pieces of the puzzle but not the whole thing, because I was talking about in the beginning of this recording about sometimes like just taking what you need from something, because we all have these different pieces, and starting these types of communities and having these conversations I think is helping like creating this bigger picture, and trusting your own internal guidance to get you to that space, because I really believe that it's not going to be the same for everyone, and I think that's quite okay. So even though I mentioned the mother lineage aspect, I feel like that was in the beginning. I'm not sure if any specifics came through, but again, these cycles that I was mentioning, my throat just like lit up. So there could be some expression keeps coming through. Like I was talking about over-explaining yourself or trusting your own internal nudges. So I do feel like that may be a... And I keep seeing something about like lungs. So perhaps there's like lung issues in your maternal lineage. It could be your father's lineage. I mean, sometimes they, cross, but yeah, like breathing issues, lung issues, recurring, like, I don't know, I'm hearing like bronchitis or, some sort of like throat infections. I mean, I am hearing lung cancer, polyps in the throat, like just these. It's funny, my dad actually would have that. So it really doesn't, it just, whichever side of the family, but I am seeing that come through. And so, yeah, I think there's like this collective purge going on. So you just may be hearing that more right now, like a resurgence of some of these things that people are talking about, or finding out different things about your family that you didn't know before, about like family members or things that might have happened to them when they were younger, stuff like that. Okay, I keep being shown the Nephilim dream I'm hearing to talk about. When I was a kid, I would have this recurring dream. I mean, like under the age of 9. It was when I moved when I was like 9, I think, and it was in the house I grew up in before I was 9, so I was under 9. And I would have this recurring dream where my mom was laying on this really big bed. And it was like, like the 4-post, I'm hearing the song 4-post bed from, oh my God, I can't remember their name. I'm hearing the song in my head. Just a notch in your bedpost, but you're just, I can't think of it right now, but if anyone knows what I'm talking about, I know I barely said anything, but we're going down, something we're going down, swinging. I don't know. If anyone knows that, please feel free to comment, because it just like escaped my brain. Anyways, this dream, my mom would be on the bed. Yeah, and I had like those, it was like, I remember it was a brown frame, and it had like four really tall, the 4 posts, and like the tops of the posts were like almost like egg shaped. Maybe egg isn't the right word. Like it was like round at the bottom and then it would point at the top, or like teardrop shape. Maybe that's more like it. And the bed had like white linen on it, but it was very simple, even though it was like really big. And in the dream, I was like young, like I wasn't me, future me. It was like me then. Like I was like a little kid in the dream too. And my mom would be laying on the bed and I would be like sitting on top of her essentially and like protecting her. There would be these like giant men who were trying to get her. They were human, but they were just really large, like larger than humans are in this realm. And I would just be yelling at them and telling them that they couldn't get her. Like, even though I was a little kid, like these huge men could have just like ate me for breakfast, but I didn't care. I was like, you guys need to leave. Like, she might have fell for your tricks, but I'm not going to. And I would just be like a wild chihuahua. That's not even a thing, is it? Like a wild animal, just like protecting my mom at all costs. And I remember looking out the window. There's always this window I would look out, and it was almost like Jack and the Beanstalk. Like there was like this big stalk, and we were really high up, and I knew that. Like we were really high in the sky. Oh, my nose is itching again. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap up this because I feel like it's getting really long. But I just wanted to bring that up because years later, I mean, you know, maybe around 2018, 2019, I learned about the Nephilim. And, you know, if you want to go more into that, feel free to comment and I can talk more about it. And or, you know, there's research that you can find. Someone here may be connected to like Enoch or getting into the book of Enoch, the Watchers. So yeah, so some of this is coming up. I may do an overflow for Patreon, so maybe I'll go more into that in Patreon. But I just wanted to mention that because I remember when I learned about the Nephilim, that dream, I remembered that dream so well. And you know, like the fallen angelic lineage lines. And I was talking in my last video about the degraded DNA. So all of this is kind of like just connecting dots here. And I remember when I learned about the Nephilim and I started to dive down that rabbit hole, and I was thinking back to like my mother's lineage, and that's why I think the Elohim stream is coming up, and the degraded DNA, and learning about the Nephilim and the fallen angelic line, and the restoration of crystalline consciousness. So if any of that interests you, or you feel called to it, like I said, feel free to comment, and I would love to go deeper, and I'll probably dive into that more in the Patreon overflow that will be linked below in the description box, I guess it's called. I don't even know. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So I feel like this idea of the balancing of, you know, our masculine and feminine, or whatever, you know, wording you'd like to use, these deep, excuse me, I was going to say releases and I burped. So these deep releases, yeah, I was just drawn to the words whole puzzle again. So they're helping to restore these memories and, you know, help us start tapping back into this larger picture. It's starting to get more of like an aerial view of the bigger puzzle, you know? Or at least like I'm seeing someone like doing a puzzle and like they have the frame done, you know, what's it called? Like the outline, and like you're starting to see what the picture is, but not quite. So yeah, that's kind of like what's coming through energetically. I'll probably go deeper too about like the Earth Star connection, as well as like the word transparency is coming through again. This is very specific, but a few of you, if you are starting to feel like you're seeing transparent, like, bodies. Like if you're looking at people or yourself and you're like feeling like you're seeing through a little bit and you feel like you're going crazy, don't worry, you're not. Or at least to me, you're not, because when it started happening with me, like sometimes that will happen, I feel like I was like preparing for it, but I've heard a lot of stories of people who are not prepared and they get very freaked out. It's funny, I'm drawn to this book that's on my friend's shelf and it says Blueprint. I don't know what the book is. It's called The Blueprint. I have no idea what it's about. But exactly when we're tuning into these, what I phrase the original crystalline blueprint, and understanding and reactivating these crystalline strands of DNA, sometimes I just heard like freaky ass shit. Some freaky ass shit can start happening. So some of you are already like very attuned to this, but for those of you who are just like kind of getting into that and you know, maybe you're just starting to navigate it, yeah, like I said, feel free to reach out. And I was talking about framework. So yeah, like building a support system for yourself is really helpful. And again, that Earth Star really like grounding in what you're learning, giving yourself time to integrate and implement and embody is something that I've had a really wonderful mentor that taught me that in the beginning. And when I don't know why I'm talking about the beginning so much, so perhaps, yeah, someone needs to hear this, but I remember I was so excited. Like, so when I started having these memories resurface, I was just like, I'm ready, like, let's do this. Like, I was just so excited. And I remember my mentor at the time, again, she was so great. And she was like, I know you're excited. I can feel your excitement. I know how exciting it is, but there's no rush. Like, and she taught me a lot about, again, that feminine aspect of trust and faith and the timing of things and not rushing and, you know, retraining your nervous system to slow down and be at your own internal natural rhythms and paces. So yeah, that could be really relevant here. And it's like the more you tune into these memories, not even the more, but like the deeper you embody this, it's like, you know, all of that lineage healing is sort of like taking care of itself and like opening up new pathways. So yeah, I think I'm going to now end it. Thank you so much for listening. And like I said, please feel free to comment if you feel called. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.